State takes host to the concerns of police survivors truck series here live on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. My name is William Tiller. I have my main man back in the booth here tonight after he took himself an all-star break, Mr. Jake Reeves, as well as Dean Hopton up here providing the sights and sounds of tonight's race. Jake, we dusted off all of everything, the tension off that all-star break. It's crunch time now. We just have 5 races to go before those playoff races. What are the folks in store for here tonight in a track, Kentucky, that's really under the radar that nobody really thinks about?
Well, Will and everybody at home, glad to be back here in the Nazareth 360 Racing Network, calling it here at Kentucky. And Kentucky, one of those tracks that very much put on an absolute great show in the NASCAR Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. Sad that they don't run there anymore, but this track is actually very, very wide. These guys can actually get right up against the wall over in turn 1, turn 2, and even over in turn 3 and turn 4. This track can get very, very wide, but on the bottom is really where you want to be here in the Truck Series here tonight for the concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. So, we got a lot of guys out here that could really shake up that playoff grid. And, Will, as you mentioned, with 5 weeks left to go before we start some playoff racing, a lot of drivers in the field, about 30 drivers, if I'm looking at the entry list correctly. A lot of drivers in the field, and we could be in store for possibly another new winner.
Yeah, let's talk about those 30 entries here tonight in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200. Let's check it out. Starting on the pole position, the boss man himself, Bray LaBeouf. Rolling off second, great starting position for Michael McKinnon. Up there as well in the third position, Tyler Dittmer in that 34. Rolling off fourth, Stephen Thomas. Fifth, James D. Morris. Sixth, Raul Meza. Seventh, Cody Knott. Eighth, Huck Whittington. Ninth, Joey Doucette. And rounding out our top 10, Jeff Sickles.
Bill Pappas will be 11th with Jacob Klinkhardt in that 12th spot. Blake Lothian is going to be 13th with Taylor Peacock in 14th. Kyle Hess and Eric Zimmerman, they will be in row number 8, 15th, and 16th, respectively, with Ted Wade and Dana Shepard right behind them. And Ed Osborne and the rookie Jeff Merck will be in 19th and 20th.
You see the DSR electric machine of Adam Newton in that 21st position. Jose Luis Rivera, 22nd. Keith Bradley, the Animal, 23rd. Chris Blanchard, 24th. Rolling off here tonight. We look at the rest of the field. Mark Morton, 25th. Robbie Richards, 26th. Justin White, 27th. Brandon Bullock in that 17th. 28th. Zach Hartwick in that 29. Also, we're looking at Stephen Gregory right there in the 30th position. And then TJ Moore is our race control. So 30 trucks will take on the blue blood state that is Kentucky. And I got to say, Jake, you missed the race last week that Mark Morton, he came in like a house on fire in that all-star race. Watch out for him here tonight. But look at Michael McKinnon. We've talked about that as well. He's had a bit of a hot streak going on. He's rolling off second.
Yeah, Michael McKinnon, as I mentioned in some previous broadcasts, Michael McKinnon, one of those drivers that everybody loves out here at, within Nazareth, and especially in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. Michael McKinnon, a very, very good driver, and like I said, very likable. So great to see Michael being able to get up there and put down some serious lap times, get in a rhythm. And, Will, as you've heard me say previous times, these guys need to get in a rhythm, because especially right here when we're fixing to get into some playoff racing here coming up pretty soon, these drivers are really going to need to start getting in that rhythm and get out there and start finishing races consistently. And it all going to start right here at Kentucky. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be an outstanding race to watch right here. Everybody at home, sit back, relax. Just like Chad Canal says, sit back, relax, enjoy the race. It's going to be a hell of a race.
Oh, absolutely, partner. Here in stage number 1, we'll race 25 laps. And here we go. Barney is ready. We're ready. The drivers are ready as well here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network here on this Friday night. This is the real deal. We're racing for points here tonight as Bray LaBeouf, the boss man, and Michael McKinnon will take the green flag. We're off and racing in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200 as the boss man takes us into the first corner.
And Brady LaBeouf able to get a good launch right there at the start. McKinnon not able to get the best restart that he needed. So he's going to be side by side with Tyler Dittmer. Dittmer all the way down to the bottom. Michael McKinnon trying to slide up, maybe get that outside lane, try to get a run. None of it. Dittmer, he's going to ride right in second, right behind the boss man, Brady LaBeouf, and right behind him, a lot of hard racing going on back here for about the 4th and 5th spot as they're coming around to complete that first lap.
First lap is in the books. Brady LaBeouf will lead the way. Tyler Dittmer in that 34 machine. I love the livery on that truck. Breast Cancer Awareness Pink. Folks, you got to remember, it is October. We're 6 days already into this month. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Shout out to the 34 machine of Tyler Dittmer as we're down the backstretch. And Jake, we talked about it to kick off this broadcast. What is a track that's like Kentucky? What's a similar aspect to this track that maybe people are unfamiliar with?
Well, I mean, honestly, this track has actually got a lot of similarities to other racetracks. Not as far as the banking concerned, but, I look at this track and it's somewhat like, I would say, Chicagoland, because this track is very, very beat up. It's very, very bumpy. So these guys are really going to have their hands full coming around off of these corners, diving it down into turn number 3. It gets really bumpy. As you can see, some of the trucks already bouncing just a little bit going down the back straightaway. Very, very bumpy racetrack, so these guys are going to have their hands full big time as far as that. And another aspect of it is, very tight right there. As you see Dittmer, he's going to try to take a run right here at Brady LaBeouf on that outside, maybe try to get that outside run. But another track that I compare this to is Atlanta, because these guys are going to be eating some tire wear up. And one guy that's eating it up, here comes Tyler Dittmer down to the bottom side. Brady LaBeouf going to be stuck up on the top side. Michael McKinnon is riding on board with him, right behind both of them. Which lane will he go with? But Dittmer and LaBeouf battling it out coming off of turn 4.
Yeah, I love this new Michael McKinnon. The 13 machine is racing with a newfound confidence, a newfound mojo. He's starting to stack up these top 5s, these top 10 finishes here tonight, racing inside the podium. You also got to thank Jake, the 34 machine of Tyler Dittmer, probably racing with a little extra motivation after not missing out on the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series playoffs. After being the regular season champion, he gets eliminated there in that first round. Here tonight, though, trying to get a checkered flag to make up for it. He's still battling the boss man 5 laps in.
Dittmer trying to really, the best he can. You can use a lot of draft. That's what these guys are going to be doing. Using a lot of draft, a lot of momentum, if you will, here in these trucks. Dittmer tried to use the draft, tried to maybe suck up to the back bumper of Brady LaBeouf, not able to do it. McKinnon, he's going to fall in line, and check out Raul Meza back here running in that 4th spot very comfortably, if you will. Got James Morris right behind him, but good run for Raul Meza as he's going to try to see if he can slide up to here, get behind Michael McKinnon, and maybe try to make this a 4-horse race.
Yeah, as we're riding on board with that 37 machine of Raul Meza, you talked about it, Jake. It's that wheel movement. You're constantly putting that wheel stress on those tires through the corner. You don't have that opportunity to kind of straighten it out, let the truck do its thing, let the corner take you. At a track like Kentucky, we've already watched it with those onboard cameras. As we have a battle for the lead heading into the corner, you have to really keep that wheel to the left. You can't let it go at all.
Absolutely, you cannot, and it gets even bumpier right here as we got Dittmer trying to get down on the bottom side. Maybe even try to take a pass for the lead as he's going to get side by side. He will clear Brady LaBeouf just by inches. So Brady LaBeouf's going to slip back to second. Maybe not. Here he comes back on the middle side, if you will. Dittmer all the way down on that yellow line. Brady LaBeouf not wanting to give up the lead just yet. But Dittmer led that lap, but Brady LaBeouf's going to slip right back by him and take the lead. But one thing I was going to mention, this track bumpy all the way around. It is 100% bumpy over here in the tri-oval where these drivers are coming. Here's Michael McKinnon for second. You got to be able to keep that wheel as steady as you possibly can going through these bumps through the tri-oval, because as bumpy as it is and you're turning to the left, you can easily miscorrect that wheel and you can send it straight to the right and straight into the wall.
Yeah, and if you let that truck slide up the track, you're going to lose just those millimeters of seconds in the corners that you need to continue that momentum throughout. And you see Brady LaBeouf, he's trying to keep that truck as low as he can. Also, one aspect we didn't talk about, Jake, any damage that happens to this truck, especially at a track like Kentucky, it's going to prohibit you from keeping that truck low, which is going to it's going to force you up the track, but you're going to lose so much speed. We're riding on board, though, with the 34 machine of Tyler Dittmer. He's now watching the 13 machine of Michael McKinnon to the outside of the boss man here. He might have it, Jake, as we're down the backstretch side by side here on lap 10.
McKinnon trying to get the run on the top side, going to kick Brady LaBeouf down to the bottom. McKinnon overshoots the corner all the way up to the extreme penthouse, if you will, all the way up to the wall. Dittmer down on the bottom. He's going to take a look, get that second spot, maybe go even further for the lead, but he gets all the way up Brady LaBeouf's back bumper as they go into turn one.
Yeah, a little too close for comfort right there. The 34 machine, I have to imagine, had to let off the gas just a little bit. That nose was right up the back bumper of the 24 machine of Brady LaBeouf as he takes us down the backstretch. Michael McKinnon with a huge pull out to the inside. He's going to go to the inside of the 34 here in 3 and 4. I got to say, Jake, these three dogs up here in the top of the grid are constantly going back and forth. We're only 11 laps in here in the A's Lawn Landscaping 200.
And Brady LaBeouf's actually going to get a little bit of clearance, if you will, back here behind him. Side-by-side battle, McKinnon and Dittmer. And check it out, we just mentioned him a minute ago, Raul Meza. He's going to slip up here, see if he can get something going. Dittmer all the way up McKinnon's back bumper, maybe try to get him loose, slide him up the racetrack, if you will. But here comes James Morris back here. Where did he come from in the number 84 entry? He's going to jump up here, get to battling. And how about Cody Knott in the 26? He come out of nowhere. Here he is up here trying to battle inside the top 5.
Cody Knott in that 26. You see it on that onboard camera. He is on that wheel just steady as it goes. I would belt it out here, Jake, but I don't think the folks at home want a singing voice. They want to hear these engines roaring down the backstretch right now as Raul Meza, he's on fire as he goes to the inside. We're looking at this battle. I believe that's the 84 machine of Zach Hartwick moving up through the field.
No, that's James Morris right here in the 84 right here. He's down on the bottom, not trying to see if he can follow him, maybe try to push him past Raul Meza, not able to do it. Meza tries to jump down. Morris dives it in. Cody Knott right behind him, sails it into turn 1 and 2. He's going to get to the outside of James Morris. So Cody Knott really starting to put some momentum down, put some speed down, if you will, as he jumps up to that top side. Remember, I talked about it, that top side. You can really carry a lot of momentum around the top side. As Knott does that, now he's going to switch lanes from the top down to the bottom. Morris going to go all the way to the top, and here goes Cody Knott down to the bottom to try to take it into the top 5.
Yeah, Cody Knott to the inside here. 10 laps to go in stage number 1. This is a battle to stay inside the top 5. You got to think too there, Jake. This is stage number 1. I'm watching some big movers already. A guy that we haven't called out, it feels like for weeks here, the 32 machine of Ted Wade is up 10 spots from the drop of the green flag. He's up to 7th in this race. And for me and you, I know we've been on a bit of a break, but for the 32, it's been a while since we called his name.
Yeah, I mean, Ted Wade, from the races that we have seen and the races that I've been here for, Ted Wade has been showing a lot of skill out there on the racetrack, and he's doing a very good job, up 10 spots. Keith Bradley back there in the number 29 entry just cracked inside the top 10. No surprise there, even from starting in the 23rd spot. He was last season's champion here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series, so no surprise there. A couple of drivers actually still making some moves up. Ed Osborne, one of them. And how about Mark Morton? You talked about him,
yes,
Will.
Sir.
He started 25th all the way up to 15th. And how about Stephen Gregory? Started 30th all the way up to 16th as well.
Yeah, Mark Morton was a sight to see at that all-star race at Charlotte, just constantly in that top 3, top 5. Had a chance at the very end, unfortunately got caught up in a late race caution, but the 8 showed so much promise in that race. Just constantly battled out with all the top dogs we have here at Nazareth. Didn't show any of that rookie newness that you might see out of a guy. Maybe a little bit of a jitteriness. Maybe, I don't know these guys. I don't want to race them too hard. Jake, he raced it like it was his 100th day here in the league. It definitely wasn't his first race feel here tonight. You mentioned it, moving up through the grid fast in that Red Bull machine.
And he is trying to get around the 48 right there on your screen. Trying to get around him, maybe see if he can sneak up here and get something going. I believe that is the 48 of Robbie Richards. He'll be able to sneak past him. But I'm telling you, these guys right here are absolutely dogging it out back here around the 15th, 16th, even 13th mark. We find Dana Shepard, Ed Osborne, all these guys back here just straight up fighting it out as Brady LaBeouf still leads over Michael McKinnon, Tyler Detmer, Raul Meza, and James Morris, who has cracked inside the top 5.
And I know there's a meme of Kevin James going around the internet, but somebody better call the zookeeper because the animal has now cracked inside the top 10, the 29 machine. This is why we have to watch this guy every week. Jake just quietly sneaks inside the top 10 here at the end of stage number 1. He's going to get his stage points, and then throughout this race, we'll watch that 29 just consistently move through the field. But you are right, there are some dogs going at it back here as we ride on board with the 16 machine at Joey Doucette.
There's a couple of guys that have actually fell off, if you will. One of those drivers, Stephen Thomas, in the number 23, he started on the outside of the front, or the outside of the second row, started 4th down to 17th. Then you got another driver right here, Huck Wigginton. He started 8th, and he's all the way back to 26, so he has fell off tremendously as far as the field goes. But check it out. Here goes the Joker, Joey Doucette. Looks like he's trying to see if he can take it 3 wide, trying to go through the tri-oval, maybe try to get a couple of extra spots. He gets around Clinkhart. Now he's going to set his sights on Stephen Gregory. So Doucette, he started 9th, but now he's trying to see if he can claw his way back up there, maybe try to get to the battle between Taylor Peacock and Keith Bradley to get up there where that top 10 spot is.
Yeah, just about 5 laps to go here in stage number 1. He's got some work to do if he wants to crack inside that top 10. Stephen Gregory, you touched on it there, that 69 machine up 17 spots, currently in that 13th spot. He has Keith Bradley ahead of him. He's trying to get around the animal. So that's a battle for that 10th spot. Stephen Gregory's moving up there. We have some flip-flops inside of the top 10 as well. Blake Lothian, Taylor Peacock. There is some jockeying for positions here down the backstretch with just about 4 laps to go in stage number 1.
A couple of guys up here, they're starting to battle. Ted Wade, he's up there in the 7th spot, was up 10 spots from the start of this race. Phil Pappas right on his back bumper, maybe trying to look down to the bottom, or maybe even try to look high from where I'm seeing. Pappas may try to go to the middle, maybe not. He gets out of the gas, gives Wade just a little bit of room. But these two guys right here have been battling very, very hard for that 7th spot, that being Ted Wade and Phil Pappas.
Down the backstretch, lap 23 here in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200. Phil Pappas in that 85, trying to get around Ted Wade for that 7th position. Again, Cody Knott, you see him just in that shot right here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. He's inside the top 10 as well, as we have 2 laps to go in stage number 1.
2 laps to go, and Brady LaBeouf making it look very easy up there, if you will. About a second over Michael McKinnon. Then he's got about another half a second back from McKinnon. That is where you will find the 34 of Tyler Detmer. Not too far back from him, Raul Mezas riding in 4th. Morris is going to be in 5th. Cody Knott 6th. Wade and Pappas still trying to fight out for that 7th and 8th spot, respectively. Lothian's holding on to 9th, and believe it or not, Taylor Peacock all the way from 14th up to 10th as we're taking the white flag in this first stage.
1 lap to go in stage number 1 of the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200. Ted Wade just gets around Cody Knott. He moves up another position up to 6th. You touched on it though. Blake Lothian is in that mix as well. Brady LaBeouf looks as though he'll get the stage victory. Cody Knott wants that spot back before they go across that start-finish line. Will he have enough coming out of the corner as you see the boss man win stage number 1 here in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200 from Kentucky.
Brady LaBeouf able to pull it off and get the stage win, deny Michael McKinnon of a stage victory, but Brady LaBeouf gets it. Michael McKinnon 2nd. Detmer, he'll get 3rd. Raul Meza 4th. James Morris gets 5th. The rest of the top 10, Ted Wade, Cody Knott. He was able to hold off Phil Pappas just by a little bit. So Cody Knott gets 7th. Pappas will get 8th. Blake Lothian 9th. And Keith Bradley, who was trying to get up there and get that final stage point, gets denied by Taylor Peacock.
And with 5 laps to go, those stage points are gonna be precious. Like Lord of the Rings are gonna be saying, my precious, when it comes to those stage points there at the end of this regular season, because sometimes it's just a single point that can separate you from making the playoffs or being out of it here in the C.O.P.S Truck Series. But one thing, Jake, that we forgot to mention here on the starting grid, I know we took the week off, but we want to jump back to the Prayers for Steve Young Benefit 170 at Lucas Oil Raceway, and we're going to hand out some awards here. The Hard Luck Award winner from that race was Ed Osborne. He takes home the Flieger Farm Paint Shop Hard Luck Award. If you want a personal experience with painting your race car and iRacing, we invite you to go check out Flieger Farm Paint Shop. Been doing it since 2020. They're offering a free paint scheme for first-time customers. Go check them out today. Ask for Adam. He'll hook you up with that free first paint scheme for first-time customers. Again, that Hard Luck Award winner was Ed Osborne, Jake.
Yeah, and Ed Osborne, I mean, he seems like, we have seen great strides out of Ed Osborne this season. But there has been times where he has slipped back just a little bit and caught that hard luck that you were talking about. But Ed Osborne, he's sitting there running inside the top 20 right here, almost right inside the top 15. So Ed Osborne really needs to try to get some momentum to try to carry him. And, we know as these races go right here, some of these races go very, very long, and things happen. This was just the first stage, folks, and it looks like it's been very, very calm. We see some hard racing, some 3 wide, mostly 2 wide, but with the laps wind down, we get through this second stage. Obviously, this second stage will probably be maybe a little bit more aggressive than the first stage. But that final stage, when it gets down to about 20 laps to go, and if we get a caution, we get a restart, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, all hell's going to break loose because this track right here can put on a show. And I believe that's what you're going to see here tonight.
And as we watch that field head off of pit road, Jake, I wanted to ask you, you have experience in these trucks, you have experience racing. What's going to be the main ingredient with these pit stops, do you think? Do you think it's going to be the fuel window? Do you think it's going to be the tire, as we talked about being the most stressed thing upon tonight's race? What do you think is going to be that main ingredient that will put one of these drivers in victory lane?
It's going to be the tires, honestly. Will, I mean, you want to be able to try to manage the gap from when other drivers is going to be pitting. I mean, especially if we have a long green flag run in that final stage, you want to be able to try to position yourself to where you might see some guys back in the back. They might duck in and go get 4 fresh tires. You want to try to stay on an even playing field with them, if you will, because you don't want to stay out there too long, because those guys that go in and get those fresher tires, they're going to jump you by all means, because they're going to be able to run faster laps than what you will be running later on in your run. So, I mean, fuel will be there, obviously, but I think mainly with just how bumpy this track is, just how worn out this track is. And folks, I'm not saying anything bad about a worn out racetrack. A worn out racetrack is a very, very good racetrack. So, I think that's what's going to be the key. Is it's going to be the tire wear, and it's going to be who can save their tires. And then when they go to pit, when you can position yourself to make that pit stop, to be able to leapfrog guys if you so choose, or if you just try to wait later on and then get those fresh tires to see if you can run those guys down later on in the race.
Well, let's get things rocking and rolling once again. Let's shout out to the folks that are watching along with us here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Adam was wondering about that stage info. Stage 1 was 25 laps. Stage 2 is going to be 55. Into the race will be lap 140. Also want to shout out Betty Francis that said the 32 is sneaking up there. Might have a Ted Wade fan in the chat. But let's get things rocking and rolling once again here from Kentucky as Tyler Dittmer will take the green flag into corner number 1 as they come roar across the start-finish line.
Brady LaBeouf gets a very good start. Dittmer down on the bottom, did not get the restart that he wanted. So Brady LaBeouf going to be able to get clear. Side-by-side battle right behind him, Raul Meza and James Morris. Meza able to get clear of Morris, so take Meza, put him up to 3rd. Take Morris, put him back to 4th, and then right behind him, it is a straight-up dogfight back here with Cody Knott, Blake Lothian, Michael McKinnon, all these guys just straight up battling it out as Meza slides up the racetrack just a little bit, almost gets into the fence. But here comes Michael McKinnon trying to rally back. Started second, finished second in stage number 1. Here he comes, battles as he goes right past James D. Morris. Brady LaBeouf still leads right here. Tyler Dittmer trying to hold on with second right here. Here is Meza. He's going to see if he can try to close up to Tyler Dittmer. Maybe try to take some air off the spoiler, if you will, and try to see if he can maybe slide him up the racetrack, maybe take Meza to get to second. But up front, Brady LaBeouf still leads. Michael McKinnon has got around James Morris. That is for fourth. So Morris back to fifth. And how about Blake Lothian? Started 13th all the way up to 6th. And Taylor Peacock, who got that very last stage point here in the stage 1 at the end of it. Here he is now up here in 7th as these guys are duking it out. Joey Doucette dives it in hard to the Joker. Not laughing one bit. Matter of fact, he is laughing, trying to laugh all the way to the front.
He's got that thing glued on the inside lane. He is not moving that 16 truck no matter what. He is absolutely glued to the inside. As right now we're riding on board. You see Jacob Klinkard in that 5 machine. Keith Bradley's to his outside. Stephen Thomas there in that 23. Joey Doucette still on the inside. I see trouble brewing here in this Hornet's Nest, Jay.
Absolutely straight up Hornet's Nest, if you will. They were 3 wide with Morton all the way up there on the top. And they are still rocking and rolling, if you will. The Admiral Keith Bradley right smack dab in the middle of this as well. And Stephen Thomas trying to find a way around Mark Morton. But Morton holding it down real tight on the top. And check it out, Joey Doucette, he slips up just a little bit. He's going to go to the top side, if you will, find a way around Stephen Gregory. So move the Joker up another spot. And here comes Dana Shepard following him on the top side.
Dana Shepard, that 45 machine. Again, one of those names we don't call out a lot, but when we do, Jake, he's having a great run. That's Taylor Peacock in the 81. You mentioned it, though. He snatched those last couple of stage points. Robbie Richards, you also see him with an homage to the Breast Cancer Awareness Month with that ribbon on the side of that truck, but he'll look to the outside of the 26 machine of Cody Knott. And they'll go side by side off of 2 down the backstretch.
Side by side, Doucette, Morton, they're going to be battling very, very hard. All this right smack dab in the middle of the pack. But Morton, as you talked about, had a fantastic run in the All-Star race. Now up here duking it out with some of the top dogs, if you will, here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. As Morton thought about going low, thought differently. He'll slide back up to the top. Maybe try to get a run, maybe not, as here comes Dana Shepard trying to fight hard on the bottom.
Yeah, it's a bit more frantic here in stage number 2. You cut the stage down by about 3 or 4 laps, so you have less laps to decide what you're going to do, what moves you're going to pull off. How do you get inside that top 10? Right now, as we watch Jacob Klinkard to the inside of the 23 machine of Stephen Thomas, Keith Bradley's right there, Ted Wade in that 32 is right in front of him. And Jake, what I'm watching as we cross the start-finish line into 1, these guys are really wasting no time. It seems like we have battles for position almost every single lap.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys right here, I mean, that's the big thing about the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. These guys right here, I mean, they are giving it their all for 140 laps, folks, and that's why these guys right here are the best at what they do. Just straight up digging, if you will. And Morton, as you see right there, he is not wanting to give this spot up one bit. Granted, he is one of the rookies in the field, much like Jeff Burke. But Morton not wanting to give any spot up, still not wanting to give it up with Dana Shepard down there on the bottom. And right behind him, we talked about Ed Osborne. Here he is up here trying to stick his nose up here and get in the middle of this.
It's that defense, Jacob. We talk about it here in this iRacing simulator. Of course, you can be an offensive driver. You can always battle for positions. You can be hard on that gas pedal. You can be very strategic. But you also have that aspect of playing defense no matter what track we go to. Short track, super speedway, a track like Kentucky here tonight. You have to have that ability to throw those blind blocks. And what I mean by that is you're going to feel a guy coming to your outside. You're going to feel that run coming. Do you have the ability to block without really seeing that truck to your outside? You just know to block those lines, to hold your positions, and I think we're seeing out of the 8 here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, you know, these guys, they're going to have to start doing some serious blocking, if you will, to try to be able to, like you said, use that defense to try to hold some of these other guys up. But what's going to happen is when they start doing all that blocking and everything else, eventually that is going to cause some wrecks, because these drivers, they're going to be getting these runs, driving off of the corner and trying to get going. But when you got to run and somebody slides up in front of you, you got two options. You can either A, hit them, spin them out, or get out of the gas. But if you get out of the gas, you might have somebody right behind you, and then they might not be able to check up just as fast, and they may end up tagging you as well.
As we watch Keith Bradley in the 29 looks to the inside of the 32 machine of Ted Wade. Will he get it into one? He's going to push the 32 up the track. Of course, it's going to diminish that speed. It might make a 3-wide situation with Phil Pappas and that 85 as we watch them come roaring off of 2 down the backstretch here in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200, 41 in the books.
And all this going on right inside the top 10, if you will. Ted Wade back here trying to see if he can hold on to every little bit that he possibly can. But the animal, Keith Bradley, he's going to fight very, very hard down on the bottom of the racetrack, maybe try to get something going. Stephen Thomas right behind him. Got Clay Cart and the Joker, Joey Doucette, right behind him. But I'm telling you, the animal, Keith Bradley, is really fighting hard down on that yellow line, to try to advance his position as much as he can. But Ted Wade will have none of it.
We've looked at the next-gen cars. We know what the aero is like, and that, of course, is not much aero in the trucks. But at a track like Kentucky, where you're keeping that wheel so far to the left, you're trying to keep it so far to the inside, do you feel any pull from the truck to the outside?
Well, I mean, you feel a little bit. I mean, you're not going to feel a whole lot when you're trying to go up there. I mean, it depends on how bad you burnt that right front tire off, to be honest with you, because if you burnt that right front tire off, you're going to be sliding up the racetrack. There's no question about it. You will feel that pull, and that's exactly where it's going to go. But I'll tell you, one guy right here is not wanting to make any pull. I mean, he's got no pull at all. That's the number 13 right there, Michael McKinnon. He started around the 10th position to start off this stage. Here he is all the way up to 3rd. So Michael McKinnon doing an outstanding job right here. Just took 3rd away from Raul Meza. So take McKinnon up to 3rd. He's doing an outstanding job here tonight.
And this just shows, Jake, you put in the practice, you put in the time, you work through the mistakes, you work through everything, and it's just this recent run of races for that 13 machine, whether it's here on Friday night, Monday night races. He's just been locked in. Now he's consistently top 10, top 5, racing inside the top 3 here in the early parts of these races now. So newfound mojo, newfound confidence out of that 13. Could be somebody to watch for here the rest of the season. But Joey Doucette, the Joker, is now trying to get around Stephen Thomas here off of 2.
Joker's trying to get to him, not able to get there. He'll have to fall back in line. And the Joker, one of those guys seriously not to be playing with. We call him the Joker for a reason, as he runs that purple race truck, much like the Joker from the Batman series. So Joey Doucette, one of those guys not to play around with. And, Will, you mentioned about that 1 point kind of deal, about the stage points, about trying to get as much points as you can as we're fixing to come up here at the end of stage number 2. Remember, Joey Doucette, he got knocked out of that final round last season by 1 point, as you have mentioned so many times. So Joey Doucette, obviously from what happened last season, that's lit a fire under him for this season. That's why he is racing as hard as he can to try to get as many points as he can and make sure that doesn't happen this season.
And these drivers are emotionally invested in this, Jake. It's not just you're racing with your buddies, you're out here on a Friday night trying to give it your all in the iRacing simulator, as we're going to ride on board here with James D. Morris in 1 and 2. If you don't make those playoff races, that means all the time you spent, the weeks after weeks of showing up here, putting in the track time, putting in the practice, was all for naught. And sometimes when you interview drivers that come up 1 point, 2 points short, you can hear that emotion in their voice, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely can, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, it really is. I mean, to know that, you drove your tail off all season long, and then it just, it's heartbreaking. Even if it's just 1 point, or hell, it might be even 20 points to that matter. But it's still heartbreaking to know that you will not be able to go on to the next round. And it's unfortunate that, when we come playoff time, that some drivers will have to get knocked out eventually. But that's just the way that racing has evolved now with all the playoff systems and the knockouts and everything else. It builds drama. It will, and you as well as I know, everybody loves drama. And if you don't love drama, well, especially in racing, apparently you're not as big a race fan as we thought you was, but check it out. You want some drama? Right here it is. Dana Shepard down on the bottom. Got Jacob Klinkart all the way to the top, and right smack dab in the middle was Justin White, but he's going to clear all of them and move up a spot in the running order.
Ooh, how clean was that move out of the two machine? Just split them in half. He is moving up through the field here tonight. I am impressed by that move from Justin White. He saw those two battling out. He saw his opportunity, shot through the gap. He's up to 18th here in stage number 2. And Jake, we haven't checked in with him for a while. He must be lonely up at the top. Brady LaBeouf still leading the way, now almost with about a 1.5 lead here on lap 50.
Absolutely. I mean, he's just putting down some consistent lap times as he comes right here to the line. We'll get the lap time difference for you right here. Brady LaBeouf goes past the line right here. He runs a 33.9. Tyler Dittmer's 34.1. Michael McKinnon right behind him. He's actually a little bit faster than Tyler Dittmer right now. Hit a 34.0. Raul Meza behind him. He's hitting 33.9. So everybody's kind of right there in that ballpark pretty much, at least for the top 4. Lothian hit a 34.1. So the top 5 really are all running those same lap times as the leaders. It's just Brady LaBeouf has just got more fire off speed than the rest of them.
And I'm noticing here late in this stage, as we have just about 4 laps to go in stage number 2, trucks are now starting to slide, getting a lot more bumpier. And you wonder if they're going to be jockeying for those top 10 positions. It's Phil Pappas right there. Had to overcorrect that, sent the 85 way up the racetrack. Almost disaster, Jake, here with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, Pappas was really thinking about maybe darting to the inside right there on Stephen Thomas, but Thomas was running his line normally. It's just Pappas wasn't able to get to his left rear as fast as he thought he was going to. Thomas cut down, and Pappas had to get out of the gas and dart up right, because if he didn't, he was going to straight up take Stephen Thomas out. Nothing again. I mean, nothing intentional, obviously, but I mean, it was just Pappas thought of something. Thomas made an abrupt move to go back down to the bottom. Pappas got out of the gas and slid up the racetrack. Just hard racing. Both of the guys were thinking the same thing, but Pappas, great driving and great defensive driving, if you will, to not get into Stephen Thomas right there.
Stephen Thomas, we just said that name. He's looking to the inside of the 81 machine of Taylor Peacock. This is a battle to stay inside that top 10. Stephen Thomas moves up to 9th with that move, and this is just a chippy little battle right here. Stay inside that top 10. That's 8th, 9th, and 10th on your screen. But we also want to mention Robbie Richards here in stage number 2, Jake. He's up 20 spots with the drop of the green flag.
Absolutely, and Robbie Richards doing a fantastic job in that number 48 entry. He's doing a great job, 26-6, as you mentioned, doing a fantastic job. He's actually getting a little bit of pressure now from his teammate, the Admiral Keith Bradley, as Bradley slides up to the back bumper, maybe tries to take a nudge, see if he can slide past him. So the Admiral Keith Bradley from 23rd to 7th. Both of these drivers are more or less, if you will, the biggest movers of the race right now, as we are on the last lap with Brady LaBeouf going into turn number 3. Dittmer almost 2 seconds back, and then a second back from him, Michael McKinnon. So if Brady LaBeouf doesn't loop it right here off of turn number 4, which he does not, he's going to look like he's going to sweep these stages. Brady LaBeouf getting the stage number 2 win here at Kentucky.
Oh, get out the lawnmowers, get out the weed whackers, get out the blowers, because Brady LaBeouf is cleaning up the yard here tonight. Perfectly manicured lawn. He cleans up the stages here in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200. We'll watch and see if he can keep that moving and grooving the rest of the way. We'll let the drivers take a break. We'll also take a break here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. We'll be right back with our stage number 2 winner. Welcome back, folks. We stayed at this beautiful racetrack here in the blue blood state of Kentucky. We just saw the boss man himself absolutely clean up the first couple of stages. We are joined now by the boss man, Brady LaBeouf. And Brady, you just made it look easy the first couple of stages of this race. What's it like out there, and how you have this confidence?
Well, I mean, I guess confidence kind of came in practice, Will. Kind of figured some things out, ran a bunch of hot laps, and then kind of focused on 10 to 15 lap runs. I mean, I've always been good here. I love running Kentucky Speedway. Even though it's the old layout, it's kind of different. It's a little rougher than the new one. But yeah, I mean, it's going great. Just kind of leery about how this next run's going to be. Looks like we're probably going to have to make 2 green flag pit stops if it does go green with the amount of fuel that we could run. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, running out in clean air is really the key at some of these mile and a halves. Whenever you get single filed and stretched out, it's kind of hard to pass as the tires wear off. So hopefully we can keep it up front.
Yeah, what's going to be the key to victory for that 24? You just mentioned it there. You're going to have late race runs. You're going to have a couple pit stops. What's going to be the key to victory?
Well, it's always getting the strategy down pack in these situations, man. I kind of it sounds good in my mind and my brain, but as far as execution, that's another thing. So, man, hopefully we could just get it right and hopefully just continue, putting time. I was pulling away from Tyler. I kind of took it easy on the last couple of laps. I didn't want him to see what I was doing. So I guess it's just keeping it out in front and I guess hitting pit road when the second place guy hits pit road and trying to keep that gap, I guess. And anything could happen in these races, Will. I mean, you and I both know we got a handful of these. And
Oh, yeah.
so it's kind of unpredictable what's to come. So we'll see if it stays green or where that caution flies, if we can make it the rest of the way or not.
Well, before we let you go, boss man, is there anybody you wanted to shout out here on the broadcast with those first stage 1 and stage 2 victories, or any sponsors that helped that truck along the way?
Absolutely. My teammates at Mission 1 Esports, NRE Power Systems for backing me, everything they do for me. My wife and kids, my family, all my friends watching. I believe my buddy up in Michigan, Steve Bornett's watching tonight, so shout out to him. And yeah, man, thank you guys. Thank you, Will, Jacob, and Dean, for all the hard work you guys put in.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for joining us, Brady. We'll let you get back to it. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
And that was the 24 machine, the boss man himself, Brady LaBeouf, Jake, and he just talked about it. This is going to be a whole different race. Now, this is a race within a race with 2 green flag pit stops scheduled here the rest of the go.
Absolutely, and Brady LaBeouf, he's going to take the top side, the same spot where he has took the stage 2 restart. He took the top side, was able to get some momentum carried up there, but now he's got another driver up here that he's going to have to worry about. Looks like that's going to be Blake Lothian or Michael McKinnon, whichever one of these drivers is able to slide in right here as the pace truck pulls off. Brady LaBeouf will try to lead him to the green flag, see if he can get that jump that he's been getting. And guess what, folks? Same song, same dance. Brady LaBeouf, huge restart right here over Blake Lothian and his teammate, Robbie Richards.
Yeah, Brady LaBeouf appears to be locked in as we come off a 2. You see Blake Lothian right there, that 43 truck. He's always in the mix. Huge move on the backstretch. He looks to the inside into 3 and 4. Blake Lothian wasting no time here, not waiting for those Goodyear Eagles to start waving those wings, flying here to the inside. Will he get the position? First lap under green? No, has to go right back behind the 24 into 1 and 2.
Brady LaBeouf may hit, or his eyes might have got just a little bit wide right there, because the only competition that he has had was the 34, Tyler Detmer, and he's all the way back in 27th. Not sure what happened to him, but Lothian give LaBeouf just a little bit of a scare, but LaBeouf powers around on the outside, showing that he really does love it here at Kentucky. So LaBeouf back to the lead. Lothian, he'll sit there and ride comfortably in second. Robbie Richards riding comfortably in third. Got his teammate right behind him, last season's champion Keith Bradley, and Raul Meza running right inside the top 5.
Such an interesting close to this race, Jake. Do you play coy the first half before caution flag's out? Never mind. Our first caution flag of the night waves here in A's Lawn and Landscaping, and it looks to involve the 62 machine as well as the 00 of Huck Whittington. We'll see what happened here as we check out this instant replay. Jake, I believe that's Adam Newton in the 82.
Yeah, it was, and basically both of these guys, wow, hard hit right there for Adam Newton. Basically, what these guys were doing is it was net code. Honestly, Will, because I'm sitting here looking at it right here, and Huck was just going to be right on his door when they was going into turn number 1. Huck, I mean, just right there at him. I mean, literally, it's like I said last night in the previous broadcast, you could have fit my whole sim rig between both of those trucks. I mean, that's just how much room there was there. But Huck gets into Adam, spins him out, but I mean, absolutely no way they was making any contact. You'll see it right here on the instant replay. Huck all the way to the top, Adam Newton down on the bottom, and watch this. Right there is when he starts turning. And you could already see when Newton was already going to the right, there was a huge gap right there between both of those trucks. So netcode obviously played a big-time factor into that accident right there.
And for folks at home that are unfamiliar with that terminology, Jake, I know it's something that we're all completely frustrated with, whether you're a race car driver or a commentator. What is that exactly?
Well, I mean, it's IP addresses not matching up together. I mean, iRacing is initiating that there was contact. Obviously, there was not contact because we just saw it live on the replay right here. But iRacing is initiating a contact within the IP addresses. It gets real technical at that point. But, you know, as I was pointed out last night, the only way that you could really knock out the net code, if you will, is basically put all 30 drivers in the same venue, in the same place, in the same area, and then you won't have to worry about it because everybody will be on their same IP address and everybody will be running and everything will be fine. But when everybody's at home in their own houses and their own sim rigs, you're going to have various IP addresses, various pings, all that stuff gets jumbled up. And so iRacing thinks that there is contact being initiated at that time, and obviously there wasn't. But it's just one of those things that honestly I wish, with all the technology, advances in technology that we have, I wish that it could be somehow be fixed, and you know, we could quit having incidents like that.
And that's just an absolute perfect explanation of what netcode is. As we watch Jeff Merck head down pit road here in that 60 machine, usually somebody that's contending inside the top 5, top 10, doesn't look to be having a great night here so far. Still a long way to go in this race. It could just be playing the long haul, if you will. But back up at the grid, Brady LaBeouf just putting on a show. But Blake Lothian, he was showing some speed there before that yellow flag flew.
Absolutely, and Brady LaBeouf, I could hear it right now. He is just singing Blue Moon of Kentucky is exactly what he is trying to sing right now. But what he's also probably singing is that same old song and dance from the Kentucky Headhunters, if I'm not mistaken. It's Walk Softly on This Hard Mine. If any of our viewers have not heard that song by the Kentucky Headhunters, please go search it. Go search it on YouTube, Apple Music Store, Amazon, whatever. The Kentucky Headhunters, Walk Softly on This Heart of Mine. That is an absolute fantastic song. It's some old country. It's not some of that new crap that they got nowadays, but it is some of that old country that is straight up the best music out there. And that's exactly what Brady's doing. He's walking softly on every single one of these guys' hearts, as he's been doing the past 2 stages.
Absolutely, a little yeehaw action here in the blue blood state of Kentucky. We want to shout out Ashley Dotson. You talk about country music in the country. Ashley Dotson is watching this race from Australia. He's an Australian racer that usually takes the field in the 88 machine. He says, good luck, boys. Nothing like being at Bathurst and watching this at the same time. I can die a happy man. Shout out to Ashley for tuning in to tonight's race on a Friday night Nate and Jake, we're about to get things on and popping once again. That was a surprise time. Only one caution so far. Are you surprised by that?
Well, I mean, honestly, right now I am, and going back to Ashley Dodson, hate to not see him out here. Ashley Dodson always puts on a fantastic showing every time he's out here. From the Australian out there, shout out to our producer Dean Biggles for that remark right there. But the Australian does a fantastic job when he's racing out here. But back to your comment, Will. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, honestly, but not so much. I mean, granted, it was a netcode incident that caused that accident, but it's going to get more aggressive. These side drafts, these racing tight, possibly going even 3 wide like we saw earlier, all that stuff's going to get ramped up because these guys know they got a shot to win and be able to lock themselves in the playoffs.
And that's what you want to do with 5 laps to go. And let's see who gets the checkered flag as the green flag waves once again. And here in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200, Brady LaBeouf will take the outside into 1. He carries that momentum with Keith Bradley, the animal, right behind him. The battle for 3rd, though. Robbie Richards, Blake Lothian comes off of 2 down the backstretch. Again, drivers wasting no time, Jake, as they're jockeying it out down the backstretch.
Bradley all up in LaBeouf's tailgate right here, and Lothian was all up in his tailgate. Richards was all up in Lothian's tailgate. All 4 of those drivers literally nose to tail bumping one another going into turn number 3. But I'm telling you, Lothian putting a lot of pressure right here on the animal. Keith Bradley literally shoving him going into turn 1. He'll back away. Now here comes Richards. Richards is going to see if he can try to jump up here and make it a 1-2-3 run for the Mission 1 Esports drivers, as Bradley took a shot to the inside, not able to do it. Lothian even looked to the inside just for a second. He had to back away. Richards trying to see if he can fight back on him as they're coming off of turn 4. Brady LaBeouf still leads this bad boy.
Yeah, Keith Bradley didn't want to make that move that early. You saw him hesitate just a little bit, get off the gas, fall right back behind Brady LaBeouf as we're riding on board the 48 machine of Robbie Richards. He has the shot of the 3 guys ahead of him. Will ride on board in this cockpit down the backstretch. He's on an absolute tear so far this race. Jake, not somebody that qualified very good, but that doesn't matter as long as that green flag flies and you get positions under your belt. You see him come off of the corner very, very wide. He's going to lose some speed with that.
Absolutely, but we've seen drivers that start in the back that may have had an EOL from a previous race have to start dead last back in the back of the field, and then they just straight up drive straight to the front, much like Keith Bradley does. Well, hell, every Friday night, honestly. I mean, he just drives straight to the front every single Friday night. Robbie Richards, the same way, starts in the back. If he gets EOL, drives it straight to the front the next week. I mean, that's just how it is with some of these guys, and you usually see that a lot here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series, with drivers starting in the back, driving all the way to the front. But right now, Robbie Richards, he slipped off just a little bit from this top 3 group with LaBeouf, Bradley, and Lothian, as these 3 right here starting to separate themselves from Robbie Richards. And Robbie Richards better watch his tailgate, because here comes Taylor Peacock and Michael McKinnon, who we talked about earlier, as McKinnon trying to see if he can crack inside the top 5. May even take a look right here at Taylor Peacock off 4.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of those names that we called out in stage number 1 and 2, those drivers are racing inside the top 10, top 5, have now slid back the grid just a little bit as we ride on board the 13 machine of Michael McKinnon. He's trying to get around Taylor Peacock. This would be for the 15th position. Other names that stand out to me behind this 13 machine, Jake, looking at Raul Meza's back here, Stephen Thomas, Phil Pappas, James D. Morris, Tyler Dittmer is down in the 22nd position as well. So a lot of these guys are starting to just get washed out from the top side of the grid.
Yeah, I mean, and it is what it is, because they're probably getting put in a lane that they're not wanting to be in. They may be down on the bottom, running it all the way down on the bottom like you're seeing right here with the 5 of Jacob Klinkart, which he is just smack dab straight on the bottom of the racetrack. Some of these guys may be getting pushed up the track. Some guys right behind them, like right behind him, Stephen Gregory gets a huge run, gets all the way up into the back of Jacob Klinkart. These guys might be trying to get these runs, diving it down to the bottom and then shoving them up the racetrack, and that might not be where they want to run. They might want to be right smack dab on the yellow line and they can't get down there because somebody's already diving it in on their inside. Like, here we go again. Gregory down all the way to the bottom. Clinkhart up top, and he'll fight back hard. I mean, it's just, you got guys that are just slipping back just a little bit. I think it's just because they're in a certain line that they're not able to get into to be able to advance up to the front.
We talked about it earlier in this broadcast. It's that defensive aspect. If you don't want that guy coming on the low side of the racetrack, you need to make sure your truck stays to the low side. The more you start to drift up the middle of the track, as you see it right here, the 13 machine, Michael McKinnon, he's mid on the corner. Stephen Thomas almost had a move in that 23 machine. Your objective, Jake, I think right now in this run before those tires start to get away from you is try to keep that truck as low as you can in the corner to prohibit that low side pass.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to try to prevent as much as you possibly can. I mean, still got a long ways to go, just a little bit past halfway. And Brady LaBeouf's trying to do the same exact thing, trying to prevent the inside pass from Keith Bradley. But Bradley's starting to put a lot of pressure on him as both of these drivers actually starting to slip away just a little bit from that third place runner, where we find Blake Lothian in the number 43. So right now, you see the class of the field right now has been Brady LaBeouf. But at this time right now, it looks like Keith Bradley, he is the dominant truck right now at this point because he is putting so much pressure on Brady LaBeouf right now. But we know how good Brady is. Granted, he is the boss man in Nazareth. But I'm telling you right now, everybody's got their own breaking point. Bradley is putting a lot of pressure on his teammate right now.
And we'll have to wait and see what those pit stops will do to this battle as well. Last time down pit road for those two guys was lap 56. We'll have to see if they elect to pit with one another or separate strategies out of those camps. We'll jump back here, though. Jacob Clinkhart in that 5 machine. He's trying to get up to the grid as well. He's trying to get around Jose Luis Rivera here down the front stretch into 1 and 2.
And he's got a little bit of help right behind him as Kyle Hess. He's going to take a peek down the inside. Hess on the bottom. Clinkhart up top. Both of them trying to see if they can chase down Jose Luis Rivera. All this going on for about the 13th, 14th spot as Rivera riding in 12th right in front of him. Clinkhart takes a look, thinks better of it, drops back in line. And how about Tyler Dittmer? We saw him up there battling up front with Brady LaBeouf, slipped back, went all the way back to the 27th spot. Not sure exactly still what happened to Tyler Dittmer, but here he is right behind Phil Pappas trying to crack back inside the top 10.
That's what you got to do. Just ride that momentum. Jake, you talked about it. It's that M word. It's the vocabulary word of the day here in the concerns of police survivors truck series. Momentum, momentum, momentum. You see it right here, the boss man. He's trying to keep that momentum rolling. Keith Bradley, though, is trying to eat that momentum, take it away, as now we have a new race leader down the front stretch. Keith Bradley, the animal, takes us into 1.
Keith Bradley used it all the way around the top side and was able to get it going, get that momentum going as Bradley had enough of following Brady. So Keith Bradley, the animal, last season's champion, and won a couple races this season, doing a fantastic job, if you will, at this point. He leads them right now with Brady LaBeouf second. They've still opened up that gap over Blake Lothian, who is riding in the 3rd spot. Robbie Richards still very comfortably riding in the 4th spot. So technically, if you look at it, you still have a little bit of a 4-truck breakaway. And if Michael McKinnon all the way back in 5th, some almost 4 seconds back from the animal, Keith Bradley.
Oh, man, we have a 3-wide battle into the corner. Watch out, boys. It's getting feisty back here. Joey Doucette on the low side of the racetrack has the 61 machine in the middle. They're not giving up positions. Mark Morton there in the 8 as well. Here comes Jeff Merck. He's now on the back bumper of the 16. Things are getting chippy back here. Jake into 3 and 4. Who will survive this battle to stay inside the top 15?
And as bad as I gotta say it, Will, as hard as these guys are racing, not taking anything away from them, but as hard as this racing is going, even 3 wide right here with Morton gonna stick it in the middle. Doucette able to gas it up and try to get away. Kyle Hess all the way to the top side. Now Hess is gonna get stuck 3 wide once again. Maybe not. Morton able to clear it. Merck down on the bottom trying to find a way around Kyle Hess. As hard as these guys are racing, as close as they're racing with all this 3 wide racing, there's bound to be a caution. I don't want it to happen, But I'm telling you, as hard as they're racing, as squiggly as they're getting back here in the back, I mean, this is some tight, hard racing, and these guys are putting on a hell of a show back here. And this ain't even for the lead, Will. This is back here around the 16th, 17th spot. These guys are just driving their tails off for all this right now.
And for some of these guys as well, Jake, they're creeping up about 30 laps on that equipment, on those tires. And that's going to be the longest run of the race they've had to deal with. So wait and see here if that tire wear really becomes a factor. Because remember, in stage number 1, we only ran 25 laps. So they ran down pit road again there in stage number 2, another 25 laps there, 30 laps there to the end. This is going to be the longest run they're going to have to deal with. Can they keep those trucks together?
Yeah, they're going to try. They're going to do everything they possibly can. It's been a clean race all the way through this bad boy. A lot of hard racing, a lot of side drafting, even some bump drafting. I've seen a little bit of it as they go into turn number 3. Guys trying to push other ones along to try to advance up in the line. As you see a battle brewing right here for that 3rd spot as Richard's able to slip past Blake Lothian. So take Robbie Richards up to 3rd. So 1, 2, and 3 right now for Mission 1 Esports. But I'm telling you, these guys, I mean, to answer your question, Will, these guys are straight up driving as hard as they possibly can with the equipment that they got. I mean, obviously they're going to have to make a pit stop. Like Brady said, even 2 pit stops.
Caution's
May
out.
even take one right here as we got a caution on the Speedway.
Ooh, that's going to be a tricky call, Jake. You're going to have some guys that head down pit road, lap 63, other guys 56 and 58 respectively there. It's going to be a strategy call whether or not you head down here on this caution flag, but that's only our 2nd caution of the night here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. We'll have to check it out, wait and see what brought that out. As Keith Bradley, it's a position he's comfortable with, Jake. He is in the lead spot.
He's doing a fantastic job, and from where I was looking at with the caution, you got the 86 up here, Kyle Hess. Looked like he just kind of burnt the right front off of it. Set it straight up into the fence. See Cody Knott, Justin White. I believe that was Justin White that got by.
Oh, man.
And wow, I mean, just unfortunate for Cody Knott. I mean, he was just kind of smack dab in the middle of it. That was actually the 12 truck that snuck around on the inside. That was Zach Hartwick. But obviously nowhere for Cody Knott to go in that particular instance right there. I mean, you see it right here. Kyle Hess overdrives the corner, slides up into the fence. Cody Knott comes in, tags him into the back. And Dana Shepard done a fantastic job to sneak right through the middle of it. I mean, literally, the seas parted and he snuck right through it. And Kyle Hess, who was up there battling up inside the top 10 at one point, knocked the whole front clip off of it. So looks like maybe his night will be over with, but a lot of guys going down pit road right here. One guy he looks like he wants to stay out. That's the number 9 of Christopher Blanchard.
Oh, yeah, it is like a New York City traffic jam down pit road right now. Everybody headed down except for the 9 machine of Chris Blanchard as he is on his Kid Cudi here tonight. Mr. Solo Dolo out on the race track in that lead spot. And looks like Robbie Richards is going to actually win the race off of pit road in that 48. Keith Bradley there in 2nd, Jake. And as we're starting to creep towards the end of this race, what are some of the things that are standing out to you so far?
Well, man, it's standing out to me, Will, is that, there's a lot of hard, aggressive racing, but it's a lot of clean racing. That's what you get here in the C.O.P.S Truck Series. Until you get to about that 20 to 30 to go, and like I said, Will, that's when all hell breaks loose. Everybody knows what's on the line is those extra points, a win. For some of the drivers that has not won this season, much like Taylor Peacock, Christopher Blanchard, even Robbie Richards, some of these guys that have not won a race this season, they see it right here. They see a chance to lock themselves into the playoffs. And, well, we mentioned it, pre-race, that these playoffs are coming up very, very quickly. They'll be here just like that right there, a snap of a finger right there. They'll be here before you know it. So that's when the aggressiveness is going to start to pick up, about 20 to 30 laps to go. And then at that point, they ain't nobody going to really care at that point because they know what is on the line. And, a racer myself, Will, I can't blame them. I mean, they know what's on the line. They know they got a shot to go ahead and lock themselves in the playoffs, not have to worry about the final race of the regular season in Atlanta on October 27th. They don't have to worry about that race one bit. They can just go in there and worry about a super speedway and just go in there. They can just be just clean for the rest of the regular season. But to answer your question, I know I'm going on a ramble here, but I mean, that's what I'm looking for right here is about the last 30 to 20 or 20 to 30 laps. That's when you're going to see some aggressive moves. And that's when, that's, like I said, that's when it's just going to get crazy.
It's going to get absolutely crazy. And as we have this opportunity to do so, we want to thank our title race sponsor here tonight, A's Lawn and Landscaping, based out of Baltimore County, Maryland. They provide all the design, install, and maintain needs that you need: landscape design, bed maintenance, lawn repair, and installation. Call A's Lawn and Landscaping today. You can find them on Instagram as well as Facebook. Once again, thank you very much for being our race sponsor here tonight, the week after our All-Star break, as we're still under caution here in the concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. It's myself, William Tiller, joined by Mr. Jake Reeves. Dean Hopton is the man providing all of the sights and sounds in tonight's race. Jake, it's going to be a shootout. You talked about it. Everybody's on fresh equipment, though, so tire wear, those type of things, not really a factor the rest of the go. There is going to be, though, probably one more pit stop, you think, with these drivers?
I believe that there will be. I mean, these guys, Brady, puts on a great package for these guys to be able to try to make some of those extra pit stops and get some strategy to get into this. We're going to see how all this plays out as Christopher Blanchard. He stayed out with the rest of the field that went in and took 4 fresh tires and gas. Blanchard able to get a good jump right here on the restart. Robbie Richards, he'll be down on the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to use those 4 fresh tires, be able to sneak by. Brady LaBeouf actually in a little bit of a box, if you will, as Bradley's going to be able to sneak by. Very hard wreck in the back. Big time wreck in the back. A lot of drivers getting off. Jose Luis Rivera, Ted Wade. Looked like that it was Phil Pappas, Jacob Clankhart, Zach Hartwick. A lot of drivers getting caught up in this accident.
Wow, Jake. And for the folks watching at home, this may have been the demise of your favorite driver. We saw it live down the backstretch. All of a sudden, we saw the 85 machine virtually fly out of the air right into the outside wall. And that just cascaded into just an absolute demolition derby of trucks down that backstretch. And, ooh, that's a few things there, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the 61 right there, I believe it was. He got into the back of Michael McKenna and slid him down the track. There was Phil Pappas, kind of a domino effect, if you will. Jeff Martin getting caught up in this. There's Mark Morton straight into the fence. Rivera had nowhere to go. He gets caught up in this. There's Justin White. He gets caught up in this as well. A lot of these other drivers back here in the back just trying to sneak through this. Ed Osborne was one of those guys that, like, he sneaked through it just barely. But wow, chaos, calamity happened right here off of turn number 2 here at Kentucky.
And man, I was just about to shout out Diane, who's watching along with us here on YouTube. She wrote in all caps, "Let's go Rivera," but unfortunately it looks as though Jose Luis Rivera will be collected in this, and it just depends on how much damage he has to that 20 machine, if he can keep it going. But boy, Jake, this is going to be a frustrating end to a few guys here who had great runs building up.
Absolutely, and Phil Pappas was one of those drivers. He was doing a fantastic job. Obviously, Mark Morton, the rookie coming in here tonight, it's like you said, had a fantastic job in the All-Star race. And, he was doing fantastic tonight. It's just wrong place, wrong time for Morton. You see Pappas, he goes straight into the fence. Michael McKinnon started on the outside of the front row. He gets caught up in this as well. Clankhart just barely snaking it through there as much as he possibly can. But, Kentucky, it is wide, but it's not that wide. There's a lot of, wrecks going on, and everybody's going left, right, and everything else, hitting the inside wall, hitting the outside wall. Everybody's going all over the place. I mean, it's hard to go anywhere. I mean, it was just a straight up parking lot over there off of turn 2.
It was like the Chicago street race with more damage. Just nowhere to go. Drivers just slinging right into the inside wall. I mean, it's just a heartbreak end to a lot of guys. I mean, including Michael McKinnon, who had a great run going here tonight. Mark Morton, we talked about the performance he had in the All-Star race. Now here in his second race here, not going to be the same type of run. Phil Pappas was very strong here tonight. And what surprises me as well, Jake, as we're looking at some of those guys, Jeff Merck, surprisingly, is not having a great run here tonight either.
I mean, he's not, and then he gets caught up in that accident right there. I mean, Jeff Mert, a previous winner here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series, and now here he is caught up in an accident. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, those guys was having very decent runs. Mert was actually running very decent right there at that time. But, you know, I mean, accidents happen, Will. And but I'll tell you one guy right here that's been able to keep it clean, started from 26th all the way up to first. That's Robbie Richards. And you know, just for a second here, Will, you know, if we can actually take a look at his truck real quick from the side. Will, you know, I know you mentioned something about that ribbon that's on his truck. Well, that's not the ribbon that you're thinking about. That's not a ribbon for breast cancer awareness. That ribbon's for miscarriage awareness. Is exactly what that ribbon is for. And October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it's also Miscarriage and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And you know, me driving for Mission 1 Esports next season on the Monday Night Series, I sent that logo, that particular logo, I sent it to my teammates for the Friday Night Series because, you know, me and my wife, she had a miscarriage last year as well. So it's real big. You know, it's a real big community that does that, you know, that everybody kind of gathers around for that. And so, you know, I mean, honestly, you know, I mean, I know he's my teammate, but, you know, him having that ribbon on that truck tonight, I mean, I know, you know, you'll probably end up asking me here pretty soon, you know, favorites of who's, you know, who I think's going to win. I got to, you know, man, I got to pick Robbie Richards just for that reason right there.
No, and I absolutely apologize for not knowing what that ribbon stood for, and what an absolute cause to stand for. And I know why you're picking that 48 machine to win here tonight, and what strength that took, Jake, to share that personal story with the folks watching along with us. And we'll watch that 48 machine take that ribbon into corner number 1 as he's leading the way here in the A's Lawn Landscaping 200.
And he gets a fantastic restart. Richards all the way jumps straight out. Bradley going to be right on the top side. Brady LaBeouf going to be right to the inside. Here comes Blake Lothian. He's going to see if he can charge back on the top side, maybe even try to spoil this little Mission 1 Esports parade that's going on at the front of the field. Right behind him, Taylor Peacock, Stephen Thomas. Raul Meza stuck 3 wide. Stephen Thomas on the top, Tyler Dittmer down on the bottom, as these guys driving their tails off, trying to see if they can catch up and see if they can chase down Robbie Richards and Keith Bradley.
Oh, as we're riding on board with the 37 machine of Raul Meza, he almost faced contact there for a brief second as Tyler Dittmer's trying to race up through the field in that 34 machine. You also watch Brady LaBeouf. He's trying to work through the traffic back there. And caution's out. Caution is out once again.
And Jacob Klinkart's going to get caught up in this one. I'm telling you, Will, I talked about it, this aggressive moves that some of these drivers is going to be making. And, Will, we talked about this just a minute ago with the blocking, if you will, coming up off of the corner. This is exactly what you were talking about right here that happened with Jacob Klinkart and Christopher Blanchard as they was coming off of turn 2. We'll get a replay of it right here. Klinkart slides up a little bit. He thinks he's clear. But Blanchard had fresher tire. He just shot straight up the outside, had the huge run, just came right up. Blanchard was in the gas. He just kept going. Klinkart didn't even know he was there. And you see the Joker Joey Doucette, he went all the way, looked like he cut turn 3 and 4 off. I don't know exactly what happened on that instance with the Joker Joey Doucette, but I'm telling you, I think he was able to get clear of that, but that's just a case of thinking you're clear and you're not.
Yeah, it's that blind block that I talked about earlier in tonight's broadcast. That you got to be able to throw that, but you also, Jake, you got to be able to throw it with a little bit of confidence. You got to know that that line is clear on the top side. It looks like Joey's going to escape that wreck with no damage, just slip sliding, doing whatever he has to do to keep that 16 clean.
And folks, that is not the fastest way here at Kentucky, but I will say this, it is damn sure the safest place to run because you're not on the racing surface and get caught up in any type of accident. You're way clear away from it and done a fantastic job to gear it down, slow it down, and not slide in the grass because, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, you hit the grass here in the iRacing sim, it's just like hitting a patch of ice out on or out on the highway when it snows and the ice. I mean, you got a lot of water on the road and it freezes. It's just like hitting a patch of ice. You will slide and slide and slide. You won't quit sliding until you hit the wall. That's exactly what's going to happen. But he done a fantastic job to be able to keep it down on that access road. So good driving right there by the Joker, Joey Doucette.
And it looks like, Jake, that these drivers now, most of them have headed down pit road. Was that the last stop, you think, or do you think we're going to see one more, maybe a little splash and go before the end of this race?
I think that's going to be it, honestly, Will, because I think they'll be able to make it 40 laps on a tank of fuel. I'll check my numbers real quick and try to get you an exact number on that. Whew. It's going to be close because they can fill it all the way up to 14 gallons, not all the way up to the 18.7 gallons that you would have to fill the truck all the way up. So that's why you see a lot of drivers, even Joey Doucette, a bunch of guys in there, Tyler Dittmer, a bunch of guys back here around the mid-pack area. They're going to jump in real quick, get that sucker slam-packed with fuel as much as they possibly can, and try to just get that extra little bit of oomph, I guess you could say, to be able to make it all the way to the end. But I'm telling you, those guys that didn't pit, they got to be out there on the clutch, turning the truck off, saving as much as they possibly can, because I'll tell you this much, with these pace laps going on right here, that's saving them big time because they're not up to full saw rolling, just straight up rolling around here. So it's going to be tight for some of these guys that have not pitted right there under this caution.
Yeah, you're looking at the likes of James D. Morris, Eric Zimmerman. Those two guys are currently inside of the top 5, but last time headed down pit road, lap 86. And if I could, Jake, jumping back to what you were talking about with Robbie Richards and that 48 machine, once again, I just want to take my hat off to you and applaud you for that courage to share that personal story of what that ribbon stands for, what that ribbon means to you and so many other people that have to deal with that tragic loss. It's just so unfortunate, unexpected that so many people have to deal with, Jake. And all I have to say, though, there is something magical about racing for a cause. We saw it last week with Hunter Parsons in the All-Star race. He ran the same exact paint scheme to the 16 machine of Joey Doucette. In honor or dedication or a shout out to Joey Doucette's mom, he ended up taking that 25, putting in victory lane. So maybe a little bit of that magic that comes with racing for a cause could put the 48 victory lane here tonight.
Absolutely. And, I mean, honestly, I know we're broadcasters, Will, but, we do have lives and everything else. And, that would, I mean, I got to pick a favorite on that because of that instance right there. And, he said, that he was going to run that logo or that ribbon for the rest of the month. And for those of you that don't know, granted, it is an awareness month, but Infant Loss and Miscarriage Awareness Day is October 15th. It's on a Sunday. So, if anybody's got any questions about that particular day and all the events that you can do during that day, send me a message and I'll hook you up with all that information.
Well, there we go, folks. As the green flag flies once again, James D. Morris will take us into corner number 1 with that 48 machine of Robbie Richards on the top side lane. Is the 9 machine of Chris Blanchard. He's up there racing as well. He'll look to the inside. He's on a little bit of an older equipment, about 6 laps different from the rest of the field. As currently, though, James D. Morris takes us down the backstretch into 3 and 4.
Morris has got a rear view mirror full of Robbie Richards and got that a little bit of the left side of the mirror full of Christopher Blanchard, as both of these guys just driving as much as they possibly can to try to sneak up through here, not able to do it. Blanchard looks like he's going to slip back just a little bit, as everybody looks like he's going to the outside of Christopher Blanchard. Up front, James Morris up on the top side, Robbie Richards down on the bottom, trying to make it stick as best as he possibly can, side by side for the lead. It's Morris and Richards going into turn 3.
As Chris Blanchard feeling like Ricky Bobby in the cockpit of that 9, he's asking, were those the other trucks as they went racing by? 5 of them went and buried the 9 machine into the 6th spot. We watch up here in the top side of the grid. They are battling. It could be a battle for the lead. It could be a battle for second. It could be a battle for third. These drivers don't care as they're both to the inside of second and third off of 2 here down the backstretch. Who's going to be our race leader when we come off of 4? Jake, we'll have to wait and see as we head into 3 and 4.
And Bradley is down on the bottom of James Morris, seeing if he can try to sneak past him, maybe slide up there and get into that 3rd spot. He's going to be able to clear him, but just by a little bit. So take the animal. Keith Bradley up to 3rd, gets around James Morris, and Stephen Thomas is putting the pressure. Here he goes down to the inside. Robbie Richards up top as looks like Stephen Thomas really starting to try to see if he can get around Robbie Richards, try to take the lead of this race.
And the hard luck award winner, we've seen it this season. You get that hard luck, that means you had a bad race, you started great, you finished bad, or you just had hard luck in that race. Our hard luck award winner is moving up to this grid. We look at Ed Osborne up 13 spots from the drop of the green flag, currently up to 6th. But meanwhile, in that 2nd spot, Keith Bradley, animals trying to get around the 23 machine of Stephen Thomas, who just had a bit of a wiggle there on the top side. Watch out for that as we come off with 2 down the backstretch.
And Bradley is fighting as hard as he possibly can, trying to find a way around Stephen Thomas, not able to do it. Thomas battles back hard on the outside. He will secure that 2nd spot right behind him. The animal, Brady LaBeouf. Both of them pretty similar right here, as Brady almost gets spun right there off the 4. Barely clears himself in front of Morris. And check out Raul Meza started 6th up to 6th as he is rolling very comfortably, tries to roll the bottom. He will roll it very well and get around Morris. So take Raul Meza up into the top 5.
Raul Meza, another one of those drivers who's just consistently put in the work. And Jake, it's just like if you go to the gym, you constantly work out, you eat right, you'll see the results. The 13 machine of Michael McKinnon, who unfortunately is going to have a rough night here tonight, in the 37 machine of Raul Meza. They stayed consistent week in and week out. You see the results now. 37 machines currently inside the top 5, but you see how frantic this is as the laps are starting to count down here in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200.
And I'm telling you right now, Stephen Thomas putting a lot of pressure right here on Robbie Richards. If Richards goes all the way to the top, he's going to slide up. Here comes Thomas down on the bottom. Richards going to see if he can try to get the run, not able to do it. Stephen Thomas is going to get clear, but check it out. Here comes the animal, Keith Bradley. He's going to catch them both sleeping all the way down to the yellow line. Bradley and Thomas battling it out for the lead as they go into turn 1.
Oh my goodness, as the 29 machine just went soaring by. A little BOGO action here in the blue blood state of Kentucky. But he has to watch out though, Stephen Thomas in that 23, who's been very strong here tonight. Felt like we've called his name out a lot inside of that top 5. He is now leading the way off of 4. This could be a very frantic dogfight here to the end as we head into 1.
Thomas is trying to fight off every challenge he possibly can from the animal, Keith Bradley. Here comes Robbie Richards. He dives it in, gets a little wiggle in the wheel, if you will. Slides up just a little bit, but he will stay in formation. It's a little like Raul Meza almost got into the fence right behind the boss man, Brady LaBeouf. I get both of them mixed up, Bradley and Brady, but right now, Keith Bradley trying to hold on to second as much as he can. Maybe see if they can slide up here and take this lead away from Stephen Thomas.
Yeah, that was concerning out of the 37 machine as we're riding on board with him into 1 and 2. You don't want to force that truck up the track. If you do, you're going to lose so much momentum. As we talked about earlier in this broadcast, you want to try to keep that truck locked to the inside to prevent that inside pass. Now, we'll watch it right here. The boss man, Brady LaBeouf's going to do this perfectly. He's going to put that nose to the inside. He's going to force the 37 machine of Raul Meza up. That's going to kill the momentum of the 37 off of the corner. It's going to allow the 24 to stay to the inside. Good block out of the 37, but watch again here, Jake, as we head into 1 and 2, if that opportunity arises once again.
Absolutely, but Meza, he's trying to be able to carry some momentum on the top side, but at that point, you're going to do that. You're carrying momentum. You'll be able to catch these other guys in front of you at the expense of burning your tires off. And as we mentioned just a second ago, these guys have really got to be watching their fuel gauge. They got to really be watching how much fuel they got, because it's going to be very, very close. Unless they were saving the whole time under that caution, I'm telling you, it's going to be very, very tight on fuel for these guys right here all the way to the end.
And watch out for a caution flag as well. The more loose these trucks get, the more chances of a caution flag flying are. But we have a battle for the lead down the backstretch. Stephen Thomas, a lot of speed on the high side of the racetrack. Keith Bradley now to the inside. Robbie Richards wants a piece of the action as well. He's going to try to shoot the gap on the 3 wide situation off of 4. He'll stay to the inside as he now looks to the inside of the 29 machine. And Keith Bradley will cross that line here in the 80s Lawn and Landscaping 200 as we head into 1. Could be a 3-wide battle for the lead.
And Richards backs away, so the animal Keith Bradley, he will take the lead. Robbie Richards down on the bottom, trying to see if he can find a way to try to get around Stephen Thomas. Barely gets clear over Stephen Thomas. So Mission 1 Esports 1 and 2 with Thomas running in 3rd. And check it out, Raul Meza, he has slid up here into this battle as well as Brady LaBeouf has actually fell off to about a 2nd over the animal Keith Bradley. He may be back here just biding his time, letting these 4 drivers just get up here and burn the tires up, burn the gas up. Brady LaBeouf might be in some fuel saving mode right here.
Question is, can anybody keep Keith Bradley out of victory lane? The animal has now solidified himself at the top side of the grid. Robbie Richards, as mentioned, he is racing with a cause. There is something magical about that. We've seen it a few times here in Nazareth. If there's a cause to race for, or a driver's racing for a particular reason, he sometimes ends up in victory lane, Jake, or with a great run on that podium. It looks like, though, Robbie Richards is trying to get that checkered flag as he's trying to make a run to the inside of the 29 off of 2.
He tries to take a look, but not able to do it as the animal Keith Bradley will deny that advance. So Richards still holding on to 2nd. Stephen Thomas up here really wanting to try to break up the parade that I was talking about earlier, which is now a 2-truck parade. It was 3 trucks earlier when Brady LaBeouf was up there. Brady LaBeouf has really fell off the pace, if you will. He has slipped back a good bit, and now the pace has dropped off dramatically, if you will, as the pace has flipped down to 33.7. That's what these guys are running, as Robbie Richards just ran a 33.8, Stephen Thomas 33.8. So all these guys right here, it's not the tire wear, folks. All these guys right now are in hard save mode to try to make it to the end.
And if we could we see a cockpit point of view of the 37 machine of Raul Meza? And one thing that stood out to me the last time we checked in on a driver is the wheel movement. Watch here as he heads into 1 and 2. This is exactly what Jake's talking about. You see the lap time starting to increase. As he heads into the corner, look how much more wheel movement now in this race. That wheel is just bouncing in your hands. You're trying to keep it left. As we watched earlier in this race, you could get that wheel left, Jake, with not much resistance. It felt clean. It felt smooth. Now here in the late stages of this race, 24 laps to go, that thing is just fighting you so hard into the corner.
Absolutely, and that's the tire wear that's coming into play with a bumpy, worn-out racetrack. And it's like I said, folks, this is the best type of racing right here on a beat-up racetrack. And, I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. NASCAR, go back to Kentucky. For the love of God, go back. This is the kind of racing that we loved here at Kentucky. Take them damn road courses out. Let's go back to the Kentucky Oval, because I'm telling you, this is the type of racing that we absolutely love to see. And I'm telling you right now, any fan of the Bluegrass State that is within my earshot that is seeing this right here, and they love Kentucky, go get with NASCAR. Do something. Try to get this thing back on the schedule because I love this track.
Hey, Jake, they won't even give us 2 weeks at Charlotte, so I don't think Kentucky is coming back anytime soon.
They won't give us 2 weeks
here down the
backstretch. Yep, and going down the backstretch right here, Keith Bradley still has the lead right now. Richards riding comfortably in second. These guys have fell off about another 0.2 a lap, so they're almost down to the 34-second lap time. So these guys, like I said, I don't think it's all about the tire wear. It could be a little bit about the tire wear, as how bumpy it is and how much you saw Raul Meza using the wheel to try to get that truck to turn. But I really think a lot of it right now it has to do with fuel saving right here. Is Richards. He's going to get up a little bit closer to the back bumper of Keith Bradley. Right now, honestly, though, Will, I think what he's wanting to do is he's wanting to just ride behind Keith Bradley. Use the draft if he can, and just have that draft pull him around the racetrack, because that draft is going to help you save fuel as well.
The only thing that makes me nervous about this situation, Jake, could the 29 machine of Keith Bradley be baiting the 48? Could he be allowing him to make these runs, to look at these opportunities? And then the 29 machine is going to know that the 48 maybe pressed it a little bit, maybe tried a shot once or twice, and that opportunity, the 29 is going to know that he can press the gas pedal and separate. So that's my only concern about the situation so far as Rafa Ford.
Absolutely, and we've seen Keith Bradley do that exact thing, bait other drivers into it. They may sit there and think, hey, I got a shot, and then they'll take a shot, and then Bradley just gasses it up and just takes off and leaves them. So that could be the exact thing that the animal Keith Bradley is doing at this particular time. But right behind him, we got a battle on our hands for that third spot. Raul Meza trying to get up here in the podium spot, if you will, straight up Stephen Thomas's back tailgate. As I'm telling you right now, as the gap has slipped back tremendously all the way back right behind these guys. These guys up here battling for the lead, if you will. Behind them, Brady LaBeouf, he has slipped back tremendously. He's basically half throttle, basically going through the tri-oval back here in that 5th spot. He is in hard save mode, and right behind him, Joey Doucette's in the same situation.
And I'm watching some drivers that elected to head down pit road on lap 99. Joey Doucette, Jose Luis Rivera, Tyler Dittmer, Zach Hartwick, Taylor Peacock. Those drivers, you'd have to imagine, Jake, would be in the catbird seat if that yellow flag flies once again. It would force all these other guys on the top side to head down. Those guys would obviously stay out with about 3 or 4 laps difference on that equipment. So we'll watch, wait, and see for a caution flag. Meanwhile, though, it looks like we have a battle for second down the backstretch.
We got a battle for second as Stephen Thomas is going to look to the inside of Robbie Richards. Stephen Thomas may have thought that he's saved enough of fuel, so he's going to try to dart it down to the bottom, get side by side. Richards on the top, Thomas down on the bottom. Richards is going to let him go with ease, if you will. Here comes Blake Lothian. Lothian way back in the back trying to figure out where he's at. He is 1 lap down. He is the first car 1 lap down, so should a caution come out, Blake Lothian will get the lucky dog, get the free pass, get back on the lead lap. But Will, what you were talking about, some of those guys that went in and topped off as many laps as they have been run on these tires, I'll be honest with you, if a caution comes out, I think they're going in and they're going to get 4 fresh tires just as well, because they may be able to stay out, may be able to try to make something dramatic happen should a caution come out with like 5 laps to go. But I'm going to tell you right now, if they stay out, they're sitting ducks, because they're going to be on those older tires, or those other drivers come in and get those 4 fresh tires. They're just going to shoot right past them, and they're going to have, it's basically going to be no competition.
It could be just like the Arby's value menu. You pick 2, or just like Applebee's, the 2 for $20 menu. If you take 2 down pit road, Jake, instead of 4, that could give you that extra advantage to get out. Yes, you won't have the same speed, but you will be in the catbird seat. You have to watch and see if anybody elects to do that. Here goes Raul Meza to the inside of the 48 machine of Robbie Richards, who seems, unfortunately, be losing a little speed as this race starts to tick down. That will put Robbie Richards down to 4th outside of the podium.
And Richards, he might be in that little bit of a saving mode, if you will. He may be trying to save just a little bit extra. Raul Meza slips back or slips up, so he will go to third. But Stephen Thomas looks like he's starting to eat into this gap just a little bit that Keith Bradley opened up. So Bradley still has the lead at 13 laps to go. Can Thomas catch him? And we got a battle for third on our hands as Meza got around Richards. Now here comes Richard. He's got a little bit of speed. He's going to try to fight back and try to get on the inside.
And Jake, as we watch that battle brew up, we're going to jump on board the 24 machine. Oh my goodness, coming off of two. What I'm watching for as well here with 13 laps to go, if you're a fan of the TV show Bluey, it's like that low side. It's like the floor is lava. These trucks just can't get down there. They are trying to get that speed to the low side of the racetrack. They just can't with the tire wear. Right now, they are mid on these corners. You see the 48 machine of Robbie Richards. They're just trying to get it down there. Jake, with 12 laps to go, how much more speed can you squeeze out of your truck knowing you're riding on the edge? Can you catch Keith Bradley, who now has over a second lead on Stephen Thomas?
It's going to be tough, honestly, because we've seen Keith Bradley. He was the one driver that really put up a fight with Brady LaBeouf right there in the closings at the start of the third stage. So it's going to be really tough. But right now, he's opened it up. He got over just a little bit over a second. He was right at a second at the line. Now he's opened it up another 2/10. So the animal Keith Bradley really starting to flex a little bit of muscle right here late in the race as they go into turn number 3. Bradley still with the lead. Thomas second, Meza third, Richards fourth. Brady LaBeouf has straight up fell off the face of the earth back here, way back here around the 5th spot. But I'm telling you, if they've got anything, they better start rolling to try to get up here and catch Keith Bradley because we got 10 laps to go.
This is where Keith Bradley essentially puts the sails up in the air. He catches the wind, and he just sails away with the checkered flag. You start to see that lead now building by the second. The rest of the battles have to be decided here with 10 laps to go. Oh my goodness. Looks like Ray LaBeouf has a rocket on the back of that 24 because he had to check up on the back bumper of the 48 as he goes screaming by off of 4.
And Brady may have saved enough of gas. We saw him slip way off the pace to try to save as much as he possibly could. He slips past Robbie Richards, so Richards will go back to 5th. LaBeouf up to 4th, and now he's going to set his sights on Raul Meza, see if he can slip up here and maybe sneak out a podium finish up front. Keith Bradley still holding on to the lead very, very comfortably. As you look back here around this battle with Cody Knott, trying to find a way right here with Ed Osborne. Ed Osborne, you mentioned earlier, was the Hard Luck Award winner from the previous race. So Ed Osborne doing a fantastic job, and Will, you mentioned it. Those Hard Luck Award winners, it's like they get it one week, and then the next week, they're up here battling for a top 10.
Yeah, definitely. And some of these guys as well have faced through some adversity in this race, whether it's damage, whether it's being involved in the yellow flag. I'm looking at the names like Jose Luis Rivera. He's back in the mix. Cody Knott's back in the mix. Taylor Peacock, we saw him go through some situations. He's back in the mix. So all these guys got the repairs done. They stayed in the race, and some of these guys are in contention for a top 10 finish, even with some troubles here at Kentucky. But with 7 laps to go, it looks as though it might be the animal. Once again, we'll have to wait and see as he takes us off a 2.
Bradley coming down the backstretch, looking very, very comfortably. Got over almost a 2-second lead, if you will, over Stephen Thomas. Raul Meza sitting back in third, about 3, almost 4 seconds, if you want to call it, back from Keith Bradley. Then you got Brady LaBeouf sitting back there in 4th, just trying to reel in Raul Meza as best as he possibly can. But I'm telling you, these guys right here, I mean, I'm telling you, sooner or later, you're going to see right here who saved enough fuel, because I'm telling you, they were right on the money, as tight as you can possibly get as far as fuel-wise. I'm telling you, it's going to be close right here. I just hope all these guys that stayed out and tried to chance it right here, I just hope they got enough fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah, we'll pay attention to lap times here as we cross the start-finish line coming off of 4. We'll see if there's any change, which would indicate maybe just a little bit more saving. Yeah, Keith Bradley did get slower there last time by, as well as Stephen Thomas, Raul Meza. So I think you're exactly right there, Jake. I think right now these drivers are in crunch mode. You're trying to get every last drop out of the truck as you can.
Yeah, and they're doing all they can. I mean that caution that came out kind of put them in a tough spot, but they done what they thought they needed to do to try to stay up front, because track position is 100% key here. But track position is key when you got the fuel. And I'm telling you right now, if they're able to stretch it, it's going to be a masterful job of fuel saving, especially for the top 5 guys. Because they're doing a fantastic job being able to keep it out there and trying to keep it straight right now. But I'm telling you, Bradley has just came out of nowhere, started 23rd all the way up to 1st, and looks like he's got this bad boy in sole possession right now.
Yeah, he'll come across the start-finish line. He'll make it 3 laps to go. Throw up those 3s. Rest in peace to Dale Earnhardt. Because Keith Bradley, I'm watching the interval, though, starting to slide just a little bit here. Jake, I wonder now if he's in coast mode behind the 9 of Chris Blanchard here down the backstretch.
Yeah, and Stephen Thomas has really eat into that gap over the animal Keith Bradley. Bradley might be playing a little possum, if you will, with Stephen Thomas. So Bradley going to see if he can try to ride right here behind Chris Blanchard, maybe try to get the draft, if you will, and try to use it as much as he possibly can. You can see Stephen Thomas right there in the background.
He's moving.
He's closed it in to 0.8 of a second. Thomas ran a 34.4 that time. Bradley 34.6. So I'm telling you right now, it's going to be very tight all the way to the end right here.
And luckily for the 29 machine, he had the 9 of Chris Blanchard there to basically use as the side draft. He flip-flop positions, got ahead of the 9, and the 9's going to use as a blocker coming off of 4. But Keith Bradley, the animal, will take the white flag in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200 as he heads into 1 and 2.
Keith Bradley, he's going to send it down into turn number 1, tries to get clear of the lap truck of Chris Blanchard. Looks like he's got it pretty much in power right now. I'm seeing the speed still increasing as he goes into turn 3. Maybe just was a little bit cautious right there on the fuel. But it looks like the animal, Keith Bradley, is going to come off of turn number 4 under his own power for another time this season. The animal, Keith Bradley, last season's champion, as we got a spin coming to the line.
Looked like Brady
that was Brady LaBeouf and Robbie Richards going across the line right there. Both of them make contact as they went across the stripe.
Just like the animal does, he eats up Kentucky like some Kentucky Fried Chicken here in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200. He wasn't the name throughout tonight's race, but boy, Jake, like he always does, once he gets up to the top of the grid, he is hard to knock off once he gets up there. And Jake, he has done that so many times this season that now this is his 4th win here in week 11.
And he is absolutely on a mission, if you will. I mean, he's looking to possibly repeat as a champion. And I'm telling you right now, with a great organization where he's at with Mr. One Esports, that's got to be a big kicker for him. But I'm telling you, he's done a fantastic job this season. You mentioned it, 4 wins on the season. And with these wins that he is getting, he's just getting more playoff points to just pad himself to try to make it through these playoff rounds.
As Keith Bradley burns it down here on the front stretch, it looks like, though, Jake, that might be the extent of the burnout as the 29 machine appears to be out of gas on the front stretch of Kentucky. We got a little bit of a tire screak there. It's like that's all we're going to get out of the 29 machine as it appears as though he is absolutely out of gas.
I mean, he stretched it as long as he possibly could. Wasn't able to do the burnout that he was wanting to do right here, but he stretched it as long as he possibly could, was able to get it. So Keith Bradley gets the win. Number 29 entry for Mission 1 Esports. Right behind him, Stephen Thomas put up a hell of a fight to try to catch back up to him, but he will have to settle for second. Raul Meza gets third. Robbie Richards will bring it home fourth. Joey Doucette gets fifth. Tyler Detmer sixth. Brady LaBeouf will get seventh. Taylor Peacock eighth. Cody Knott will get ninth, and Zach Hartwick rounds out the top 10.
And if I could, before I jump to Stephen Gregory in that 11th spot, that makes back-to-back podiums for the 37 machine, Raul Meza. What a milestone it is for that team. But again, an 11th spot, it is Stephen Gregory here tonight. Ed Osborne, our Hard Luck Award winner from Lucas Oil, finishes 12th. Jose Luis Rivera, 13th. Jeff Sickles in that 22, 14th. Brandon Bullock in that 17 truck, 15th. Dana Shipper in that 45, finishes 16th here tonight. Blake Logan in that 43, finishes 17th. Chris Blanchard in that 9, we saw him being the Shaq to Kobe at the end of that race there for Keith Bradley, but picking it up after Chris Blanchard. There, Eric Zimmerman in the 19th position. And rounding out our top 20 is Ted Wade in that 32.
And then 21st is going to be Huck Wigington. Jacob Klinkhart, one of those drivers that got involved in that accident on the backstretch. He will finish 22nd. James Morris will get 23rd. Adam Newton, 24th. Justin White, 25th. Michael McKinnon, who had to retire early, he will finish 26th after starting second. So it looks like he's going to be the Hard Luck Award winner for next week. We'll let you know when that time comes. But Jeff Merck, he will finish 27th. Well, Phil Pappas finishing 28th, Mark Morton 29th, and Kyle Hess gets 30th.
Look at the official results here for the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200. But Jake, without further ado, let's catch up with the animal himself. And I feel like we've gotten to know him a lot this season because this is the 4th time we have him here in the Nazareth 360 Racing Network Victory Lane. Mr. Keith Bradley, you always make it a challenge, my man. You had to come up 22 spots from the drop of the green flag. Somehow you found your way at the top of the grid. Somehow you pulled away at the end, as you always do, to your 4th win on the season. Take us through how you get it done.
Oh, it was a struggle at first. Like, I was chirping in Brady's ear, trying to pick his brain on what he was doing because he was leading there for the first 2 stages, and he helped us out, gave us some tips, and I started doing what he was doing, and it really paid off. Like, starting in the back, I wasn't worried about it per se. I was more worried about crashes and just get through the field clean, try to run as hard as I could there in this first stage just to get to the second stage and try to get away from the mid-pack mayhem that usually happens, and it paid off, and it was close, but it paid off.
Never really found yourself in any trouble in tonight's race, Keith. Let's talk about, though, the last part of this race where you had 2 green flag pit stops you guys had to worry about. Was there any anxiousness or stress of actually making it to the end of tonight's race?
Yes and no. Like, I don't know what it is with Kentucky Speedway, but I struggle getting on and off pit road here. I typically, if we pit under green, if I'm leading, I'm going to throw it away at some point just because of green flag pit stops. I don't know if it's the commitment line's different here. It's deeper. So I just have a hard time judging it. I'm kind of glad the yellows came out just so I didn't have to go through all that. And no, it was more stressful trying to make sure I saved enough fuel to get to the end.
Joined by the animal, the 29 machine of Keith Bradley. And Jake, do you have any questions for a man who's now joined us up here 4 times this season?
Yeah, I just want to know the secret, honestly, because I'm gonna be running, on the Monday Night Series, and next season. I just want to know some secrets if we can. Obviously, we can't share them on the broadcast, but just maybe later on we can get some secrets on how the hell you're doing all this winning, because it sure would help me out next season.
I guess it's that lucky horseshoe I carried over from last season. I guess it's kind of helped me a little bit. I mean, I've had some trouble spots here this season and got caught up in other people's stuff. But hey, that's racing. That stuff's gonna happen. Secrets, I guess I could share a little bit with you.
Well, I mean, I've been known to have a golden horseshoe stuck up my tail too. So I mean, it is what it is.
Just got to ride the wave from here on out.
That's it.
That's all you can do.
Well, Keith, you've done it so many times before. You sort of know the drill here in Victory Lane. Who do you want to thank this time, and what sponsors helped you to get to your fourth win?
Yeah, I just want to thank COPS, the Concerned Police Survivors, for jumping on board this season. Nazareth Racing Network 360 for allowing me to rep their brand. Pulse Poppers, Blanchard's Towing, Warrior Wraps, Indie Race Parts are a personal sponsor to me. Everybody at Mission One Esports. I mean, we're slowly gelling as a whole team, and tonight I think proved it. I mean, we had Brady joined us, and he wasn't afraid to share some tips with all of us, and it really helped. And man, I just want to thank all the viewers. All the viewers make this thing really go, and we wouldn't be here without everybody watching and tuning in, and then everybody that races within Nazareth. It's a lot of fun showing up here on Friday nights.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun watching you guys take the track every Friday night, and it's been a blast watching you here tonight taking home the checkered flag and the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200. We'll catch you back here in this truck either Monday night or next Friday night here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. But Keith, go enjoy this victory, my man. Have you a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.
Congratulations to the 29 machine of Keith Bradley. They're here tonight. But, Jake, it is time to catch up with our second place finisher who felt like he was moving up there just maybe a couple more laps and he could have caught the animal. You're catching up with the 23 machine of Stephen Thomas.
Yeah, we got Stephen Thomas in the booth, and Stephen, it looked like you was really starting to reel in Keith Bradley right there in the closing laps. Was it the fuel that was keeping you from getting to Keith, or what exactly was it?
I clutched through 3 and 4 for about, I don't, probably the last 17, 18 laps, just to make sure I had the gas at the end. And with him pulling away, I didn't think he was clutching, so I was hoping he'd run out and I'd get a last lap run on him, man. But apparently not. I knew I was good with about 5 or 6 to go, and I started pushing. And Huck helped me out a little bit, gave me a second on Keith, and I thought, okay, if I'm faster than him here, I got him. But I had nothing for him. He had to run out of fuel for me to catch him.
So, I talked about this in the broadcast about, and you'll probably go back and you see it, but I was just sitting here praising Kentucky Speedway. Granted, this is the old layout
Yeah.
of the Kentucky Speedway. Just for the viewers at home, just tell everybody about Kentucky, because I'm telling you, I wish I said it on the broadcast a number of times. I wish they would put this back on the NASCAR Cup schedule, or at least for the Xfinity or whatever. This track is just absolutely a blast to race at and a blast to watch races at.
Oh, you said it, man. I like both Kentucky layouts. This is the first time I've raced on the Legacy, the old one. So yeah, I had an absolute blast. There's a lot of room, a lot of lines early, but once the tires wear off, it seems like there's only one line. It's really hard to pass people here, especially low. You burn them up trying to do it. But I mean, if you just take your time early and save, um, you can start passing them in the long run. So that's pretty much what I had to do with the EOL early in the race. I started in the very back, so. I got a couple trucks each beginning of the stage. Took my time in the middle, and then started picking them off at the end. Like you said, man, it's an awesome track. Awesome track.
Like old Sterling Martin said back in the day, but he was talking about Darlington when he said it, but he said, race the track and she'll be good to you. And that's
There you
exactly
go.
what Stephen Thomas was able to do here at Kentucky. And Stephen, before we let you go, have you got anybody that you want to thank that made this possible tonight?
Yeah, I'll start off with Brady and everything he does for the league. You guys at the broadcast, showing up every race for us every week. I want to thank my teammates, Jeff Sickles, the team owner, Adam Newton, Adam Newbert, Justin Lumpkin, and Blake Lothian, all those guys for helping me out each week and chilling with me. I want to thank my sponsors, my main sponsor, Jersey Smoke, my company, Family Handyman, A's Lawns and Landscaping. I believe they sponsored tonight's race. Millie's Restaurant and Catering, DSR Electric, Darren's Nail Gun Repair, and Ladenko LLC. And that's it, man. I appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
Absolutely. Stephen Thomas getting second here tonight at Kentucky Speedway. Stephen, congratulations on the second place finish. We'll see you at Richmond next week.
Thanks again, guys.
And that was Stephen Thomas, got the second place finish here tonight. Put on a hell of a show here with just absolutely done a fantastic job. But Will, have you caught up with our third place finisher, Raul Meza?
I have, and this makes back-to-back podium finishes for the 37 machine. Raul Meza coming off a Lucas Oil Speedway. It was our last points event. Raul, just another great run here tonight, my man. You were inside the top 5, top 10 all night long. You finished with a podium. What's it been here the last couple of weeks? Great runs.
Oh man, it's great, guys. It's great, man. It's to be able to, come out on top again with a top three. You know, from last week, man. It's great to feels great to be able to carry this momentum into another good solid finish out here, guys.
Is it just the practice, do you think, or the consistency, or just maybe just a newfound confidence that's allowing you to race differently? Because we're definitely seeing a different racing ability out of you here the last couple of weeks, and I mean that in the best way possible. You're a little bit more aggressive. You're making a little bit more moves. You're gambling a little bit more. And that's allowing you to get these podiums. What is it, Raul, that you figured out here the last month or so that's really contributed to some of these runs?
I'll be honest, guys. I think that one of the major factors here is that I've been able to stay away from some of the wrecks. As you can see tonight, it was pretty straightforward. Not too many cautions until like maybe mid to the end, but it happened somewhere mid pack and maybe somewhere at the end of the pack. But I was able to go ahead and kind of keep pace within the top 10 and kind of stay out of trouble. So that's been a huge factor that I've been able to go ahead and execute and capitalize on a great finish like tonight.
4 races to go, Raul. You're starting to be very consistent when it needs to be. Do you ever maybe put yourself in some of the likes of course, Keith Bradley with his 4th win, but you ever think, like, maybe I can race with some of these guys, the likes of Joey Doucette, Stephen Thomas, maybe I can take these guys in these battles and maybe I can beat them finishing in the top 3 or maybe even taking a checkered flag before season end?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think everybody in here, has can agree that we need to come in here and have that mindset. That we got to go out here and try and discover, try to run, try to be as smart as we can. Look at the lines that the guys ahead of you are running, and just you got to come in here with that mindset. Nobody wants to come in here saying, I'm all right. I'll settle for mid pack, or I'll just I'll be somewhere down the end of the pack. So on a personal note, I would love to go, week in, week out, and run with the guys that are fast every day, and are always in the front. Uh, but hopefully, sooner than later, we can come up with a win. But a top three, I'll take that for sure.
Yeah, and you definitely been going neck to neck with those dogs here so far the last couple weeks, and I love it, Raul. It's that dog mentality. You got to go out and take what's yours, my man, and you took a podium home here tonight. With that, Raul, is there anybody you like to thank or any sponsors that helped you get to that back-to-back podium?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to thank you guys. You guys, my family is always catching our racing every week, Mondays and Fridays, and then I go back and I catch it. And you guys are amazing out there. You guys are a great group, and I feel, I feel grateful that we have a team like you guys behind the booth with the broadcast. And I also want to thank Cops, for jumping on board and sponsoring the Friday series. For sure, want to thank my main sponsor, Serpro, for always coming on board. Man, they've been with me for a long time, and they're still hanging in there with me. For sure, want to thank my teammates. Want to thank my team, Warrior Racing Esports. Want to thank Warrior Raps. Want to thank Cody. I know he's behind the scenes in the broadcast as well. I know he plays a lot when it comes to our broadcast. For sure, want to thank Brady for doing an amazing job, and everybody that helps contribute to the league. And it's been amazing, since I started, man. And it's great to continue and look forward to long-term racing with these guys.
Well, it's always a blast watching Raul and that 37 machine serve pro. You come home third here tonight, as mentioned, back-to-back podiums. Can't wait to see if you make it 3 in a row next week or possibly even a checkered flag. But great job here tonight, Raul. We appreciate you taking the time. Have a great weekend, my man. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And that was the driver of the 37 machine, Raul Meza and Jake. It just feels so good to get compliments from drivers. But on a more serious note, another great run out of the 37 machine, Raul Meza. Another podium. He's found something behind the wheel that served pro machine here the last couple of weeks. With 4 races to go, this is the time to get hot.
Absolutely, this is the perfect time to get hot. And to be honest with you, Will, shout out to Raul Meza for giving us the shout out, because honestly, it makes us feel like you know we actually know what the hell we're doing, and I'm all for that. To be honest with you, when we get shout outs saying these guys love us, what we're doing. Like I said, it makes us feel like we're doing a good job and everything, and that's what we love to hear. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is exactly the type of runs that Raul Meza needs. This is the type of runs, that obviously, I mean, even Keith Bradley, granted, yeah, he's had 4 wins this season. He's locked himself firmly into the playoffs, maybe even locked himself firmly into the second round. But you still want to get hot. It does not matter how many times you win, because the more points that you can get, the better off you're going to be later on in the playoffs. Now, some of these other guys, Taylor Peacock, Cody Knott comes out here with a top 10 finish tonight, just like Zach Hartwick does. Stephen Gregory, Ed Osborne finished 12th. This is a perfect run for some of these guys to be able to carry the momentum. Yes, they want to carry as much momentum as they can, and it starts right here. You talked about it, 4 weeks until these playoffs start. No better time than to get hot right now. 4 weeks till the playoffs start. No better time than to get hot right now. And next week, we're going back to a short track. We're going to Richmond. And Richmond, I've talked about it before, and producer Dean's heard me say it. It's one of my favorite short tracks in the whole schedule and on the whole sim. Granted, do I love it? No, I suck here. I mean, I do. I suck there, but I love the atmosphere. I love the track. I love the layout. I love how it does, because it produces some fantastic races. So I'm going to tell you right now, folks, if you ain't got nothing going on next Friday night, you might want to catch it at 9 o'clock Eastern time here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. And if you do have something going on, well, guess what? Postpone it unless it's something crazy. But you want to check this race out next Friday night and watch these guys, because I'm telling you, like I've said every single week, it's going to be the best race on iRacing. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. And you see whether or not Keith Bradley is he going to make it hard for himself once again. You heard it out of his voice in victory lane. It's almost like a sigh of relief that he got the job done and got the checkered flag. But it is Keith Bradley taking the checkered flag here tonight in the A's Lawn and Landscaping. And none of this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for our wonderful sponsors here on this Friday night. Most importantly, which is Concerns of Police Survivors. And Jake, they do so many wonderful things over there, helping families that just have terrible things with the boys, men and women in blue. They just so many community events to help out those families. Go check them out at concernsofpolicesurvivors.org. See all those cool things. We post links to that website on our Nazareth Racing page as well. And Mr. Lee Murphy was the man behind all of that partnership. And all he asked for was that logo be on the back of the trucks in dedication to his late father. So shout out to Mr. Lee Murphy. We also want to shout out A's Lawn and Landscaping for being our race sponsor here tonight. If you're in the Baltimore, Maryland area and you want the best lawn care money can buy, go find A's Lawn and Landscaping today on Instagram or Facebook. Also, we want to shout out Adam Flieger with Flieger Farm Paint Shop for being our Hard Luck Award winner sponsor. Go contact Adam today for your free first time paint scheme. Make sure you are suited and booted for your next iRacing adventure. But as Jake mentioned, Friday night is right around the corner. You don't want to miss that race, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, that like button if you're on Facebook as well, so you can't miss that race next Friday night. But if you want some more iRacing action, come check us out Monday night in the simracerhub.com Truck Series. That race starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But once again, it is Keith Bradley, the 29 Machine, the animal, taking home the checkered flag here tonight in the A's Lawn and Landscaping 200 for myself, William Tiller, Mr. Jake Reeves, and Dean Hopton, the man providing all the sights and sounds of tonight's race. We want to wish everybody a great night, a safe weekend, and we'll see everybody back on the track soon enough.